The Dark Angels thwarted the leak of vital information and pushed onward to the Sand Sea. Sergeant Rayner knows there must be more orcs than the squad of commandos that hit Outpost 266. After days of searching, they found a lead. A tunnel system stretching for miles that gave way to a buried city. From the darkness, their every move was being watched. Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage and a Kill Team Battle Report. Today we're going into the dark, but a bit differently than the box set. We'll be using our Zone Mortalis style terrain to create the board, as if you've been following my painting videos, I'm still working my way through Chalnath. The board represents tight corridors and rooms as the Astartes descend into the unknown. A quick look at the campaign table shows the Dark Angels at 1-1, while the Necrons are at 2-1. The Dark Angels will run an Intercession Squad similar to the last one. They have accurate and methodical chapter tactics. Sergeant Rayner is equipped with a bolt rifle and has a Vengeance-class scope. Cable carries a bolt rifle and auxiliary grenade launcher with frag and crack grenades. Aquinas carries a bolt rifle with Reclusium-blessed bolts. Dom has a bolt rifle with combat blade. Lazarus has a bolt rifle and crack grenades, and Kale has a bolt rifle. The Necrons are back in action with Mokroth the Destroyer, an Immortal with Gauss Blaster and Mind Shackle Scarabs, Amhut, an Immortal with Gauss Blaster and Devour Nano Scarabs, Anutek and Kotek both carry Gauss Blasters and have Starfire cores. Skulking behind them are 5 Necron Warriors. Today we'll be playing at Command Station Control from the Into the Dark book. The terrain may not be 100% accurate with doors and hatchways, but we're all about having fun and both sides are equally set up. There will be 3 objectives on the board and drop zones will be in opposite corners. At the end of each turning point, each objective marker friendly operatives control, you score 1 victory point. For attack ops, the Dark Angels get Shock and Awe, Indomitable Superiority and Protect Assets. The Necrons get Headhunter, Damage Limitation, and Protect Assets. As always, thank you so much for watching our content, leaving comments, and giving us the thumbs up. Your feedback is helping us improve and make better battle reports. We hope you enjoy this matchup, and Turning Point 1 is coming up next. And gearing up for turn 1, we do have an error on the initial move. The Strategic Ploy Implacable March being played by the Necrons, and we allow them to open a door and then use that march to get into cover. But starting off with the Dark Angels, Dom uses an action point to open this door. He is then going to move and dash through it into cover with a Conceal Order. Flipping over to the Necrons, this is where we get the error, as this warrior opens the door and then moves with that Implacable March getting into cover. Aquinas then uses a move and a dash to scoot down the corridor, and back over to the Necrons, the warriors begin to pile through using Implacable March, moving 6 inches. With the door open, Cable then moves through with his engage order with a move and dash. Necron warriors coming down the other corridor, moving 6 inches. Most, if not all, of the Dark Angels at this point are taking move and dash orders as they continue to get into position. Looks like 2 going down each corridor. Sides continue to go out and back, Lazarus moving up with his Conceal Order, not quite ready to open that door just yet. For the Necrons, so far, 4 warriors have piled into this room, and Sergeant Rayner appears that he is going down the middle, has his engage order, moves up behind Lazarus. With many more activations than the Dark Angels, the Necrons begin to position themselves as Immortals head towards the middle, and it looks like one of the warriors is going to back them up. Turn 1 comes to a close, and I do try to watch through these battle reports and pick up on any errors. There was one that we picked up on there with Implacable March. There are no points scored for turn 1, and we're gearing up for Turning Point 2. With initiative rolls preparing to come out, the Dark Angels already know that they're playing at Devastator Doctrine for this turn, allowing them a reroll outside of 6 inches. Protect Assets and Damage Limitation will be revealed for this turn, and the Necrons will be up first. And with that initial activation, we have one of these warriors that moves forward with a Conceal Order. Aquinas is going to react to this, moving forward, and he is within 1 inch of this barrel, so he will be able to fire over it. And the warrior is within 1 inch of his terrain with an engage order, so he can get visibility to him, and he lets loose with his bolter. This has Reclusium Blessed Bolts. He always hits on 3s due to the chapter tactics. 4 dice come out, and that is going to result in 3 hits, re-rolling 1 for Devastator Doctrine, and that is going to be 4 hits. That 6 does kick off AP1. The Necrons will retain 1 for cover. AP1 only gives him a defense die roll of 1, and he will be looking for 4s. That is going to be pass, so 2 of these shots will be negated. That is a crit and a regular. With Reclusium Blessed Bolts, it adds 1, 9 total damage, and it takes that Necron out of action. Reanimation Protocol is displayed for 0 CP. With no other eligible targets, he is going to go on guard with his 3rd action point. Seeing that guard action, another warrior is going to lumber forward with an engage order, staying out of line of sight. We do have Cable, who is going to move up and occupy objective number 3 at the bottom of the board. He then goes on guard. On the opposite side of the board, another Necron warrior is going to pile up out of line of sight, getting ready to attack objective 1 on the next turn. We then have Dom. He is moving to get line of sight, and he will take a guard order as well. Back to the Necrons, one of the Immortals is going to move forward with a dash. He has an engage order, getting ready to pop around the turn. Then we have Kale moving forward. He has an engage order. He goes on guard as well, waiting for anything to pop around this corner. The Necrons decide it is time, and one of the Immortals uses an action point to open the door. He then moves forward with a conceal order. Over for the Dark Angels, Lazarus decides to use an action point to open his door. He then moves and dashes behind the barrel with a conceal order. And then the leader of the Necrons, Mokrot, lumbers forward. He is going to target Sergeant Raynor with that Gauss Blaster. Can draw a line of sight to him, and he can take this shot. And 4 shots begin to rip from the Gauss Blaster, hitting on 2s. And it's an abysmal roll. Only 1 hit goes through. There is no cover. AP-1 takes the defense down to 2, and he needs 3s to block. He is going to block that shot. He then switches to a conceal order, knowing that there's more firepower to come down this corridor, and he moves up behind Lazarus looking for cover. And with no eligible targets, the rest of the Necrons are going to move forward. There's no Overwatch to be done, as everyone is out of line of sight or has a conceal order. This brings us to the end of the second turning point. The Dark Angels do score 1 victory point for occupying objective number 3. Third turning point initiative rolls coming out next. And we roll up for initiative, and it looks like it's going to go to the Dark Angels. Reanimation Protocols on a 2+ is good. That warrior comes back with 2 wounds and then 2 more for living metal, giving him 4 in total. Ploys for this turn are Tactical Doctrine for the Dark Angels and Implacable March for the Necrons. Cable moves forward with an action point and comes face to face with this Immortal. Cable prepares his grenade launcher and unleashes a crack grenade, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. And that is going to result in 1 success, getting that re-roll for Tactical Doctrine within 6 inches, and that's only going to be 1. AP1 reduces the defense to 2, and he needs 3s. He is going to block this shot. Bolter Discipline allowing him to fire the bolter as well. 4 shots needing 3s. 1 will hit, re-rolling 1 of these for Tactical Doctrine. That turns into 2, and this is just a defense of 3, looking for 3s. Both of those shots will be blocked. The freshly reanimated Necron warrior is going to move forward 6 inches with Implacable March, and he's going to fire the Gauss Flare into Aquinas. This is going to be 4 shots on 4, since that Necron warrior is injured. That worsens his ballistic skill by 1. 1 hit goes through, and the cover is going to negate that. Aquinas uses this opportunity to fire back with his bolt rifle. This will be 4 shots, always hitting on 3s due to the chapter tactics. And he is going to sink all of these shots into that Necron warrior. Piercing 1 will kick off AP1. There's no cover. Defense of 2. And this Necron warrior is looking for 4s. 1 will be blocked, but that is still going to be enough damage to go through that that warrior will be eliminated again. Reanimation Protocols being played for 0 CP. Aquinas then moves forward with his second action point, and for his third action point, he takes a guard action. The Necrons then activate Kotek, the Immortal. He is able to move by Cable, gets onto the objective with his engage order, and he is going to fire his Gauss Blaster, staring at Dom. This will be 4 shots hitting on 3s. That will result in 3 hits. The Starfire Core allows that critical to convert one of the misses into a hit, so 4 in total. And he will retain one of these for cover, so his defense of 3 goes down to 2. AP -1 makes it 1, and he will block 1 more, so there will still be a crit and a normal that goes through. Dom drops down to 5 wounds remaining and becomes injured from the engagement. With the chapter tactics, however, he is always going to hit on 3s, and he moves forward to contest the objective, and he is going to unleash that devastating bolt rifle against Kotek. 4 shots rip from the weapon, always hitting on 3s, and one of these is going to miss. We'll get to re-roll 1 for the Tactical Doctrine. There'll be a total of 3 hits. AP1 does not kick off on this one, so a defense of 3, and he is going to be looking for 3s. He's going to block 2 of them. Kotek goes down to 7 wounds as he braces himself for more incoming fire. Bolt or Discipline allowing these to fire out again. 3 more hits come across, rerolling 1 for Tactical Doctrine, turns into all 4. There is a critical on the board which kicks off AP1. That'll reduce his defense down to 2. And once again, he is looking for 3s. Looks like one of these is going to fail. He is going to block that crit. But there'll be 3 normal hits that go through. That's 9 damage. He is going to attempt a command reroll to block one of these on a 3+. If he can, he will stay alive. And that fails. That will be enough to take Kotek out of action. The Dark Angels now firmly control Objective 3 as one of the Necron warriors moves forward with Implacable March, and he is going to target Cable with that Gauss Flare. Once again, 4 shots, and this will hit on 3s. Dice hit the deck, and it's going to be 2 shots that go through. And defense of 3, looking for 3s. And that is going to be 2 misses. One of the shots will go through, and that takes Cable down to 11 wounds. Back on the other flank, Kale is going to move forward with an engage order, and he is going to use his second action to guard. With 2 intercessors on guard, one of the warriors decides to pop the corner using Implacable March, and that shot is going to be interrupted first by Aquinas with those Reclusium bolts, and he always hits on 3s due to the chapter tactics. 4 shots coming out, and looks like only 1 is going to miss. He will re-roll this for Tactical Doctrine. It still turns into a miss, so 3 are going to go through. AP1 does kick off, so there will be a defense of 2, and it looks like the 2 regular hits will be blocked and needing 4s, but 1 critical still goes through. The next Overwatch shot comes from Kale as he is on guard, and he unleashes his bolter as well, looking for 3s. Going to re-roll 1 of these due to Tactical Doctrine. And that is going to result in 3 hits. AP, there's no AP on this one due to no criticals being on the board. And it looks like 2 of those are going to be blocked, 1 normal goes through. That warrior remains alive and contesting the objective with 1 wound remaining. It was at this point that we got caught up in the guard actions and forgot to actually shoot with that Necron. So we moved back over to the Dark Angels, and we have Lazarus, who is moving up the middle. He did change up to an engage order, and he is going to target Makrat, the Immortal, in the back. He's got 4 shots, and he will hit on 3s. No reroll for Tactical Doctrine here, still results in 3 hits. Makrat is going to retain 1 of these for cover, so rolling out with 2 defense, looking for 3s, and he is going to block 1. 1 normal hit is still going to go through. He then fires again using Bolt or Discipline. 4 more shots hitting on 3s. And that is going to result in 4 more hits, and AP1 does kick off this time. He will retain 1 for cover. One defense coming out, looking for threes. That is going to fail, and that is going to be enough to eliminate Makrat. We then have another warrior that bends the corner with Implacable March, and he is going to remember to fire that Gauss Flare this time, targeting an Aquinas. 4 shots from the Gauss Flare hitting on threes, and that results in 3 hits. Defense of 3 on Aquinas, and he is looking for threes. He's going to use 2 of these to block out that critical, and the last one to block out a regular. 1 regular hit goes through. Aquinas will be dropped to 11 wounds as we move back to the middle. Raynor, he switches up to an engage order, and he moves forward. He is going to push up just within range of this Immortal to where he is not going to receive any benefit of cover, and he is going to fire with his bolt rifle. 4 shots, hitting on 2s. He does have a Vengeance class scope, which is lethal 5. He's going to get 3 total hits, rerolling 1 for Tactical Doctrine, and that's going to result in 4 total hits. No cover, no AP, 3 defense, looking for threes. And it looks like only one of those will be blocked. As it stands, 9 total damage would punch through on this warrior, a command reroll being used to try to prevent as much as possible, but that is going to fail, so he is going to be alive with 1 wound remaining. The Immortal does become injured, which is going to limit movement and worsen his ballistic skill. He is going to flip up to an engage order as he activates next and fires that Gauss Blaster. Yet another abysmal roll here, needing 4s, 3 1s on the table. This will be AP -1. There is a critical out there. Sergeant Raynor is going to go down to 2 defense, and he blocks that crit. The Immortal then uses Implacable March to move back to get into cover. The retreat is only temporary, however, as Sergeant Raynor is prepared to fire Overwatch, and he unleashes that bolter again, and that is going to be 3 criticals, 4 total hits, and that is just going to take him out of action. The turn continues with another Immortal firing down at Lazarus, and I think this is where you would reduce your attack rolls by 1 due to the new Into the Dark rules. We still roll 4 here, hitting on 3s, and this results in 3 hits. This weapon does carry AP 1, and there will be 1 blocked, and 8 total damage punches through onto Lazarus. We do remember that this operative carries a Starfire core, so he would get to reroll 1 of those missed hits. It does not convert, however. Using Implacable March, he is going to move forward. We do have an Overwatch shot coming from Lazarus, 4 shots on 3s with his bolt rifle. Should have rerolled 1 here due to Tactical Doctrine, but we did overlook that. Counted 3 hits. And AP 1 kicks off. He is going to retain 1 for cover, so 1 defense coming out, looking for 3s. And that is going to block 1 more. Still a critical that's going to go through. Moving towards the end of the turning point, the last warrior is going to move up with Implacable March, targeting an Aquinas with that Gauss Flare. This will be 4 shots, needing 3s. And there is going to be a critical out there, along with 1 normal hit, defense of 3, and looking for 3s. He's going to roll up 2 regular. He's going to use those to block the critical. 1 normal hit goes through. And with that brings the end of the 3rd turning point, as the Dark Angels are going to occupy Objective 2 and Objective 3. Necron and Dark Angel APL tied on Objective 1. The Necrons never controlled an objective in this one, so Shock and Awe was not scored. Protect assets also just missed by the Dark Angels, and the score is 3-1. Going into the 4th turning point, the Dark Angels are going to be up first. We do have a reanimation protocols to make, and on a 2+, that warrior pops back onto the table just outside of this objective, but there are now 4 warriors here to contest with. We then bring back Living Metal, giving 2 wounds back to all of the injured Necron warriors and Immortals. Relentless Onslaught and Tactical Doctrine being unveiled by the Dark Angels and the Necrons, respectively. And with the Dark Angels winning priority, Aquinas is immediately going to open up against one of these Necron warriors with his bolt rifle. 4 shots, always hitting on 3s. And that's going to result in 3 hits with a critical. 1 of these re-rolled for Tactical Doctrine. Total of 4 hits. AP1 is going to kick off, so 2 defense coming out looking for 4s. That's going to be a lot of wounds that go through. Reclusium Blessed Bolts will easily take down that warrior. He then uses Bolt or Discipline to fire at another. This roll not so good. Rerolling 1 die for Tactical Doctrine, only 1 regular hit. 3 defense looking for 4s, and that hit will be blocked out. With his last AP, he goes on guard, and then we'll see one of these Necron warriors activate. They're going to fire into Aquinas, trying to take him out so they can occupy this objective. And this will be the one that is not injured. 4 shots will come out from the Gosflayer looking for 3s. And Relentless Onslaught will allow a reroll of one of these. Currently a critical and a normal hit on the table. That will not convert into another hit. 3 defense looking for 3s. And with 2 successes on the table, they will be used to block out that critical. A normal hit will go through, causing 3 damage. The warrior moves forward to give some additional room to the warrior behind him to get to the objective, and Kale is going to activate and immediately start firing at the warrior with his bolt rifle. It will be 4 shots hitting on 3s. He rerolls 1 for the Tactical Doctrine, and that's going to be 3 total successes. There's no AP that kicks off here, so it will be 3 defense, and this warrior will save on 4s. He is only going to save 1 of these, so 6 damage will go through. That takes him down to 3 wounds. Bolt or Discipline allowing him to fire again, once again needing 3s, rerolling 1 for the Tactical Doctrine. These are all going to convert with a critical, which makes it AP1. 2 defense come out looking for 4s. And that will block out 2 of the regulars, but there's still a crit and a regular that goes through. That will be enough to take the warrior down. Kale then goes on guard. So being we are in the 4th turning point, reanimation protocols not being any use, we are going to move back to the middle of the board, where one of the Immortals is going to heroically charge into Sergeant Raynor and attempt to take him out. He's got a lot of work to do. With 15 wounds, this is going to be very difficult. But hey, really, we just wanted to fight some hand-to-hand combat. So 4 dice coming out for each of these combatants, and they will be hitting on 3s. Sergeant Raynor does carry a chainsword, and he gets 2 criticals and a normal hit. The Immortal will get 3 regular hits. He is going to strike Sergeant Raynor with 1 of those. Raynor obviously strikes back with 1 of his criticals. The Immortal strikes him again for a total of 6 damage, and that last critical is going to take the Immortal out of action. Sergeant Raynor goes down to 9 wounds, but now they firmly occupy Objective 2. Cable is going to move up slightly, and he is going to target this Necron warrior ahead of him, and he is just going to go ahead and fire with his bolt rifle. It'll be 4 shots hitting on 3s. Those shots are going to be very good. We're not even going to reroll 1 here for the Tactical Doctrine. It does kick off AP -1. He does block out 1 of the criticals, but the rest are going to go through. And with an AP left and Bolt or Discipline, he will get to do this all over again. So 4 more shots coming out at this warrior with 2 wounds remaining. Rerolling 1 for Tactical Doctrine this time, and that will result in 3. There is a critical out there. Defensive 2 comes out looking for 4s. 2 are blocked. The critical still goes through, however, and that Necron warrior is eliminated. Back at Objective 1, one of the warriors, they are going to continue to fire into Aquinas, trying to bring him down. First, we have this injured warrior here. This will be 4 shots on 4s due to that injury, and he is going to miss all 3 of these. He will reroll 1 due to Relentless Onslaught. It does not convert. There is a critical out there, 3 defense, and it is blocked. Aquinas is then going to activate from being on guard now that this action is finished, and he is going to conduct Overwatch. This is going to be 4 shots hitting on 3s, and all of those are going to be good with 2 criticals. So this takes his defense down to 2 as AP 1, and this is going to result in a dead warrior. He does block one of the criticals, but still a lot of damage going through. That warrior crumbles. The Dark Angels are going to pass, and this last warrior is going to fire into Aquinas, trying to take him down. 4 shots, hitting on 4s with an injury. That results in 1, rerolling 1 for Relentless Onslaught. Again, that does not convert, and then there'll be 3 defense, saving on 3s. And that shot is going to be blocked. Overwatch snaps back from Kale, 4 shots hitting on 3s. That is going to result in 1 critical, and we do get 1 reroll here for the Chapter Tactics. That is unsuccessful. AP -1, he needs 2 successes on 4s or 1 critical. He gets neither, and that warrior is going to go down. And with that, it appears to be another tabling from the Dark Angels. They prove to be very formidable in this environment. Once again, always hitting on 3s with their Chapter Tactics. And we did miss the accurate Chapter Tactics, where if you have a critical on your hits, then you do not get any cover. Overall, these Tomb World Necrons in this environment are a step behind, as you can't play Implacable March or anything like that and open a door. I think with the upcoming Shadow Vault changes, that is going to change and make the Necrons a little more formidable in this environment. From the game that we played today, they were simply just overmatched, overpowered with 3 action points to their 2, and then Bolter Discipline, allowing these guys to fire twice and move, as well as take guard actions, makes it very, very difficult. We sincerely hope you enjoyed this battle report. Look forward to continuing our narrative and continuing our Kill Team games. We do have some new introductions coming around the corner with Tau and Novitiates, as I am very close to having my Chalneth box painted up. I would also like to give a big thank you to our 2022 Coffee Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now, as well as on a piece of our terrain somewhere on the board. If you'd like any information on that, a link will be in the description. It is absolutely by no means necessary. Personally, I think if you've watched the video this far, you've done more than enough to support my channel. Until next time, take care.